Hi everyone, this is Jagadish, Assistant Professor. Well, in this video, we will discuss about the topic called dissolution. Before going into the topic dissolution, let's see some important terms regarding the dissolution. Well, we can see these four are the major important terms regarding the dissolution. If you come across towards the disintegration part, disintegration is nothing but it is a process in which the tablet or a solid dosage form will get converted into a small particles. This process is called as disintegration. If you go towards the next thing, which is nothing but deaggregation, the smaller particles which are formed in the disintegration process will get converted into the finer particles. This process is called as deaggregation process. And the next one is dissolution. Dissolution is nothing but the particles, nothing but the fine particles which are formed at the end of the deaggregation process will get converted into a molecular solution. This process is called as dissolution. And the final one, which is nothing but bioavailability, it will be explained as the molecular solution which is formed at the dissolution endpoint. This molecular solution will get entered into the bloodstream as well as tissues. The amount of drug that entered and present in the bloodstream as well as tissues is nothing but bioavailability. Alright, if you come across towards the question, which is nothing but what is the importance of dissolution in pharmaceutical industry? Well, it is a very critical as well as very important step in the evaluation parameters of the tablets or solid dosage forms. Why? Because if the tablet doesn't undergo this disintegration, deaggregation, dissolution, the bioavailability of the tablet will not get appeared. Once the bioavailability of the drug is not there, the action of the drug on the disease will not be shown. Then what is the use of the tablet? Right? That's why the dissolution is an important critical criteria in the evaluation parameters of the tablet. Well, if we see the definition of this dissolution, as per textbook point of view, the definition of this dissolution is nothing but a drug expected to be released from solid dosage form and immediately go into the molecular solution. Now, the sequence of steps that get involved in the dissolution process is shown below like this, right, where the drug is directly released from the solid dosage form and gets converted into the molecular solution. Here we can see different stages depicting drug absorption. We can see that, right? Here we can see the tablets. Once the tablets get entered into our body, these tablets will get converted into the granules by means of the disintegration process, where these granules are again converted into the fine particles by means of the deaggregation process. Well, these fine particles which are present in our body will again get converted into the drug in solution form by means of dissolution process. This is the topic what we are learning about that, right? And this drug in solution will get absorbed into our bloodstream by means of the absorption process, right? This drug in the blood or in other fluids or in tissues are nothing but bioavailability. So we can easily say that the dissolution is a critical step for the drug performance, right? If we go towards the importance of this dissolution on drug absorption, we can see an example in the form of graph. Here we took aspirin in 3 different forms. First one is aspirin solution, second one is aspirin with alkaline additives, and the third one is aspirin tablets. Here in the graph we can see time on the x-axis, percentage absorbed on the y-axis. Here we can see first one, nothing but aspirin solution will get absorbed into our bloodstream in a less span of time, and the absorption rate is very high. And if you see the second one, which is nothing but aspirin with alkaline additives, it will have a little bit less than the first category. It will take some time for the complete absorption of that aspirin drug. And the third one, which is nothing but complete aspirin tablets, here we are not using any kind of additives, or the aspirin is not in the form of solution. Here directly we are giving the aspirin tablets. In this case we can see it's taking a lot of time when we compare it towards the first two categories for the complete absorption of the drug. That's why we are saying that the aspirin or any drug which is in the solution form will get absorbed into our bloodstream very quickly. And the next is dissolution is expressed in terms of rate process. The greater the rate, faster the dissolution, right? For the dissolution expression, it is done by means of Noyes-Witness equation. It is nothing but dc by dt is equal to ks into cs minus c, right? Where k is equal to a dissolution rate constant, s is equal to surface area of the particles, cs is equal to equilibrium solubility of drugs, capital C is equal to concentration of drug in the drug, nothing but the bulk of the solution, and dc by dt is nothing but rate of dissolution. Here we can see the release of drugs for absorption decreases in the following order. It means that the liquid solution form of drug will have the dissolution rate very higher when we compare it towards the completely solid dosage forms. Here we can see coated tablets is having a very less dissolution rate when it compared towards the compressed tablets. Likewise, compressed tablets will have a less dissolution rate when it compared towards the capsules. Likewise, capsules will have the less dissolution rate when it compared towards the suspension. Likewise, the suspension will have the less dissolution rate when it compared towards the solution. Here we can see the next part, nothing but the dissolution will also have some kind of influence by means of some factors. Those factors are, first one regarding those factors are apparatus. Apparatus are nothing but the instrument which we are using to test the dissolution of a dosage form or tablets or capsules or whatever it may be. Here by means of this apparatus we are having a little bit of influence on the dissolution. Let's see what are the what are the things that will comes under this apparatus, right? First one is temperature. Here we will use the temperature in the dissolution apparatus for the dissolution of the capsules or tablets. So if the temperature increases, the solubility is also increases. Why? Means due to the increase in the thermal diffusion. Here we will use certain temperature in the dissolution apparatus. Why? Because in our body we are having certain kind of temperature. To recreate the same type of temperature in the dissolution apparatus, we will use the temperature. So thereby if we use the temperature a little bit high, the dissolution will also increases, right? In the same manner, next one is agitation. Agitation is nothing but we are trying to create some kind of movements in the dissolution apparatus. Why? Because in our stomach, after taking a tablet, the stomach will exhibit some kind of movements which are nothing but crunching movements. This kind of movements is artificially created in the dissolution apparatus by means of paddle or basket. So if we increase that kind of agitation, there will be a lot of chances of variation in the dissolution process. So likewise, if the rate of the agitation increases, thickness of the diffusion layer decreases. Correct, right? Why? Because if we increase the rotations, if we increase the revolutions more in the dissolution apparatus, the water movement will gets increased. So thereby the tablets will also get revoluted in the dissolution medium very fast, and thereby the liquid, nothing but the solution which is present in the dissolution apparatus, will get entered into the tablet. So thereby a dissolution of the tablets will makes very faster. So the average IP recommendations for the agitation process is nothing but 25 to 150 rpm. In general, we will use the 100 rpm. And the next one is dissolution media. Here we are using the dissolution media for the complete dissolution of the tablets or capsules. Here why we are using the dissolution media means, here in our body, that too in our stomach, we will have the liquids. So to create that kind of environment in the dissolution apparatus, we will use the dissolution media. Here that kind of dissolution media what we are using in the dissolution apparatus will also play an important role in the dissolution process. So the nature of the dissolution medium influences the solubility of the drug. For example, if we take the IP, nothing but Indian Pharmacopoeia prescribed some kind of a different media for different products. Why? Because if we take the tablets which are having the dissolution property in the acidic media, it will directly disintegrate as well as dissolute in the stomach itself. But if the drugs which are completely having the property of dissolution nature in the alkaline environment, these drugs will completely dissolute, and as well as it will get absorbed into the bloodstream in the alkaline media, nothing but in the intestines. So the IP prescribed a different media for different products. So for example, we can see the tetracycline tablet. Here for the tetracycline tablet, we should use the 0.1 HCl in 1000 ml, right? As well as if you go to the tolbutamide tablet, we have to use 2.04% of disodium hydrogen phosphate and 0.135% of potassium dihydrogen phosphate. As well as if you go towards the next one, a lithium carbonate tablet, we have to use only water in 900 ml, right? In the same manner, if you go towards the next one, which is nothing but drug related factors, here the drug related factors are nothing but physicochemical factors as well as dosage form. If we come across towards the physicochemical factors, the major factor that will affect the dissolution of the drug, which will comes under the physicochemical factor, is particle size. Why? Because if the particle size is more, the dissolution time will take a lot of time for the dissolution. If the particle time is less, the dissolution time will also less, and at the same time the dissolution process will takes very faster, and the bioavailability of the drug will also be very faster. So we can see the example for that. The original griseofulvin drug will have the particle size of 10 micrometer. If you convert that original griseofulvin into a micronized griseofulvin, it will have the particle size of 2.6 micrometer. This micronized griseofulvin of 2.6 micrometer, we can reduce the dose of the drug which is having the particle size of 2.6 micrometer into half. Why? Because lesser the size, nothing but lesser the particle size, greater the dissolution, greater the availability, and the action will also be very more at very short span of time. If you go towards the next one, which is nothing but dosage form, here the dosage form will be of two types, nothing but first one is amorphous form and the second one is crystalline form. Amorphous form is nothing but the drug will be in the form of powder form. The powder means the particle will be in a very small size. So if the particle size is very small, then the dissolution process will takes place in a very short span of time, and very effectively it will takes place, and at the same time the bioavailability will be more. If the particle is of crystalline form, then it has to convert from crystalline form to small particles, and then it has to convert into the dissolution process. So thereby then it will goes towards the next step, nothing but bioavailability. So it will take a lot of time. So for that process the dissolution will decreases. Dissolution process will get decreased when we compare the crystalline to amorphous form. And the next one is dosage form related factors. Here the dosage form related factors is pertaining to ingredients or the excipients that we are going to use in the formulation of a tablet. The excipients or the ingredients which are used to make the drug into a tablet form will also play an important role in the disintegration time as well as dissolution. Right? If the ingredients, nothing but the excipients which are present in the tablet, if those ingredients decrease the disintegration time, if the disintegration time gets decreased, then the dissolution rate will increase. Here we have to observe rate as well as time. If the disintegration time of the tablets decreases, nothing but tablets will get disintegrated, nothing but finer particles in a very short span of time, means then the surface area of the drug will get increased. If the surface area of the drug increases, then the dissolution will also get increased, nothing but the rate of dissolution will also get increased. So thereby the bioavailability of the drug will get increased, and the action of the drug will takes place in a very short span of time, and the action of the drug on the disease will have very effective in nature. And the next one is basket. Here we can see the basket. The basket is divided into two parts, the upper lid and the lower actual basket. If we see the bottom of this basket, it will be like this. We can observe the two circles over here. The outer circle will be of 25.4 plus or minus 3.0 mm, and as well as if you go towards the inner circle, it will be of 20.2 plus or minus 1.0 mm. Right? If you go towards the basket, we can observe the mesh from here towards the here. That distance, so that distance will be of 27 plus or minus 1.0 mm, as well as the total height of the basket will be of 36.8 plus or minus 3.0 mm. If you see the lid part, here we can observe a small metal strip which is nothing but a retention spring. It will be of 120 degrees. We can observe three retention springs on the lid of the basket, and we can observe the vent hole over here. This vent hole will be of 2.0 mm diameter, and if we observe the thickness of this lid, it will be of 5.1 plus or minus 0.5 mm. If you see the height of this shaft which is present on this lid, it will be of 9.4 to 10.1 mm. Right? This mesh is made up of woven wire cloth. It is coated by means of gold, especially when we are using it in the diluted acidic media. And the sieve, nothing but the mesh which is present in the basket will be of 40 into 40 mesh of 0.254 mm. Right? The withdrawal point is nothing but if you place this basket in this vessel, if you place that basket in this vessel, After rotating some time, the tablet or capsule will get completely dissolved in the medium, right? So we will take it out some sample of that drug which is present in that dissolution media for testing purpose, and at the same time we will replace the amount of that liquid that is withdrawn into the dissolution media, nothing but into the cylindrical vessel, right, to maintain the sink conditions, right. And the next one which we are going to use in this basket is water bath. Water bath is used to maintain certain temperature in the dissolution apparatus, which will resemble the temperature which is present inside our body. That temperature is nothing but 37 plus or minus 0.5 degree centigrade. Well, if you go towards the advantages of this rotating basket type, here it is very good for using the capsules, but only disadvantage regarding this one is there will be a lot of clogging in the mesh, as well as corrosion will take place towards this steel mesh which is made up of woven wire cloth, because of the presence of HCl in this HCl which is present in the dissolution media. And if you see the second one, which is nothing but paddle type, here the only change in these two dissolution apparatus is paddle, right? If you observe this paddle, we can observe the different ratios present in the paddle. If you go towards the bottom of this paddle, it will be of 42.0 mm, and if you go towards the upper end, the shaft, if you go towards the upper end, we can observe the length of 74.0 to 75.0 mm. If you observe the height of this paddle, especially towards this bottom one, it will be of 19.02 plus or minus 0.5 mm. If you observe from this point, if you observe the mark, nothing but the line is drawn over here, right? If you observe the height from here to here towards the end of this paddle, it will be of 35.5 mm. The shaft rod will be of 94. The shaft rod will be of 9.4 to 10.1 mm in diameter. But if we come across towards the radius, from here at the center point of this line towards the edge of this part, we can observe the 41.5 mm. This is about the paddle which we are going to use in the dissolution apparatus. Here we are having some kind of advantages as well as disadvantages towards this paddle. Here if you go towards the advantages, there will be a greater turbulence. Turbulence is nothing but movement of this paddle will create some kind of a whirlpool type motions in the cylindrical vessel. So thereby the movement of the liquid takes place because of the movement, as well as we are applying the temperature over here, right, by means of water bath. Because of the temperature and the movements what we are going to create in the cylindrical vessel, the dissolution of the tablet or capsule will be very good. And one of the major disadvantage over here is the orientation of this paddle should be very important. Why? Because if the orientation is very speed, then the dissolution rate will completely disturb. At the same time, if the orientation is very low, then the dissolution rate will also get disturbed. So thereby the results of this the results what we obtain, what we get in this dissolution apparatus may definitely change because of the rotation of this paddle in paddle type dissolution apparatus. Thank you.